On we go to Carolina, Washington. Next game on this short three-game card. Washington -155 to -160. Home favorite, total 5.5, pretty much across the board. Not really at much on this game. I mean, it's north of that -150 threshold that I like to that I use in terms of laying a price with a favorite. I don't do it above -150. That's where Washington is here. But my luck with Carolina, and I've been actively looking to bet on this team in spots. My luck with Carolina has not been there. It seems like whenever they lose, I'm on that game. I'm on Carolina when in that game. So that's been the situation for me with Carolina this year. Even though I like the way they've trended, although not so much these last 5 games. They've had a tough go of it. Their defensive play that they absolutely need to be playing good defense. This is not an offensively gifted hockey team. They're capable at times, but they need to be dug in at the defensive end of the ice, and that hasn't been that way for these last 2 games. 12 goals allowed in the last 2 games combined in losses to Tampa and Boston. Not good from the Hurricanes. The Rose has or the bloom has come off the rose of Cam Ward, who is going through a nice little stretch of play, but he gave up 5 goals on 34 shots the other night. Hasn't played quite as well the last few games. That's Cam Ward. I mean, Cam Ward's going to give you a few good games, and then he's going to give you some not so good games. I mean, Cam Ward's not going to be that stand on his head goalie night after night like he was winning a cup with Laviolette back in 2004. That's not Cam Ward anymore at this stage of his career. So that's the problem you've got with Carolina. Can they get their goaltending to rebound? We know Scott Darling's been a little bit shaky of late as well. It's why they've been going with Cam Ward a lot more recently. So, and on the flip side, you got this Washington team that, even though I've got concerns about what they do in the playoffs, I still do. Somehow, some way, this team will find a way to get bounced in the first round or second round. It's what they do. But as a regular season hockey team right now, nothing to complain about. 5 straight wins for this team. They've been absolutely dominant on this home ice here at the Capital One Arena, as it's called now. 18-5 on the season at home. Just not a track record I'm willing to go against. Carolina's like 0-6 now. Last 6 meetings as well, head-to-head against Washington in Washington, and 1-5 overall for Carolina head-to-head against Washington in the last 6 meetings. So Carolina's had a tough time matching up. So yeah, I think Washington wins, but I'm not willing to lay the price. Not a game I'm involved with. Alex, you got anything here?
Yeah, no, pretty much everything you said is spot on. I mean, this is a Washington team. They've been absolutely dominant at home. They've been teams within the division. They've won 7 of the last 11 meetings against division opponents. So definitely not going to be looking at spotting any money with Carolina. But maybe for those who are looking to crave some action tonight, really want something to throw down, maybe look at tying a parlay together with Washington or Columbus. Then two moderate money lines. But other than that, I'm not going to touch this game at all.
All right, Dana, anything here in the nation's capital?
Well, I think you got to feel somewhat okay. I mean, if you're Carolina, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they played pretty well against Tampa Bay. They've been involved in a bunch of 1-goal games that could have gone either way. And I think if you're Bill Peters, then you're not panicking although you're certainly not in the playoff picture if the season ended today. But I don't think there's any room for panic there. If there's one thing to pick on, it certainly has been their defense, and that's a recent thing. Even in their last 5 games, they've given up 4.25 goals per game. Not something I really want to be involved in until that ship gets righted. But certainly the one thing I don't like, and we talked about this before the show, the one thing I don't love about the Washington Capitals is I don't know if I'm going to get the Washington Capital team that's going to put 36 shots on, give themselves a chance to get 3 or 4 goals a night, or if I'm going to get the Washington Capitals team that's going to be in the 25 range. Strangely enough, if you took a poll and asked people who was dead last in the National Hockey League in shots on, which is kind of a number that I like to look at. I kind of filter it a little bit because I think you get some teams that just put the puck to the net and cross their fingers. I think Washington kind of is in that category because remember, I mean, this is a team's whose offense is kind of predicated from the blue line where they get a lot of shots in, hoping for rebounds, hoping for dirty goals. I just don't see that style this year, so I'm not really on board with laying $1.65 because Again, have no idea what Capital team I'm going to get, but they are last in the league in that category, and I think that would surprise a lot of people. But going back to Carolina, they're 1-3-1 in their last 5. So what do teams do when they, are struggling? Well, the first thing I would do is go back and, focus on defense, focus on playing better defense. So I don't have a selection in the side in this, but I think, Bill Peters gets with Slavin and Van Riemsdyk and said, look, we got to get back to basics here. So I would be looking towards the under in this one. I know I do that a lot, but I would be looking towards the under in this one. But certainly at $1.65, I have no opinion on the side.
All right, a lean to the under here. And yeah, it's that time of year when this is usually when teams play, at least try to focus a little more defensively. It's post-Christmas. That's been the age-old, I guess, belief that after Christmas, when the new year arrives, that's when teams really start to hunker down defensively in this league. And, certainly we're not seeing the flurry of overs we saw early in the season, but there are still some. There's no question. But, yeah, most of the time you see teams trying to get that playoff mentality, especially now we're going into the second half of the season, and sometimes that can lead to more lower-scoring games. Andrew, you got anything on this Carolina-Washington matchup here tonight?
Yeah, well, you know what? To be honest with you, I have a tough time taking unders and betting low scoring games with this Washington Capitals team. I think they really bother me defensively. I feel like they're just one of those teams that just doesn't really care. They let their offense do the talking. They don't really like to make any too big of statements on defense. And their goaltending has been good this year, but probably not as good as they'd like it to be if they want to make a deep run in the playoffs. And like you said, Ian, not get bounced in the first or second round like they're used to. But it's kind of the same thing as the Carolina Hurricanes, and that's the reason why I'm actually looking at the over in this game, and in general looking at backing Carolina actually on the over as this season progresses, guys. I just think that right now these two teams are almost the same style right now. They love to kind of have that fast-paced kind of style game. There's not a lot of neutral ice time whatsoever. They get pucks deep and they get a lot of shots. They don't really try and make those specifically nice plays. They're not always trying to get too fancy at all. You see both these two teams average quite a few shots each game, both a little bit low 30s per game. And Washington averaging 3.14 goals per game so far this season. And head to head, the over is 6-2, 6-2-2 in the last 10 games between these two teams. But for right now, just looking at the matchup comparison, Ovechkin's starting to pick things up. Niskanen is doing. He's looking better, but for me, Holtby and Grubauer just aren't the same as what they were before. I think they're kind of shaky right now. They're not looking as good. And if I'm ever betting on Carolina these days, guys, it's going to be an over. I can't really trust them on the money line just because they have that knack to blow leads, it seems, in the third period, and I just can't really trust them on a full game. But I can always count on them to get scored on and put a couple up themselves. So for me, I'm just looking at the over in this one. It's not my favorite play of the night, but I do like these two teams to get some goals tonight.
And Braden Holtby, very good numbers against Carolina, 12-4, 1.85 goals against. So he's matched up very, very well in his career against Carolina. We'll see if that continues tonight. By the way, injury note, we talked about Sebastian Aho in the Tuesday show before the Carolina game. He did play in that game, and he did score a goal in that game. So obviously no worse for wear. Sebastian Aho, with that leg injury that he was dealing with, he was able to play on Tuesday night and contributed on the scoreboard, leading the Carolina Hurricanes in goals this season. So having him on the ice was big time for them. Him and Teravainen both have had tremendous seasons for the Hurricanes, really have carried them. Skinner's done a good job at times as well, although he's been a little bit more streaky. But no doubt, those are the two of the guys that they've relied on for offense this season.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.